Hi everyone, welcome to the Flower Craft Festival, a lovely collaboration hosted by Monika from Crafting with Quilling Lady. Right throughout the month of August, every Monday and every Friday we will be spoiling you with some gorgeous floral makes. Alongside Monika in this collaboration are participating Benita from Under a Pile of Papers, Lisa from Crafting Diva, Marta from Drop of Sunshine, Mel from MGL Papercrafts, Monika, Paper Mona, and myself. Once you are finished watching my video, make sure you check out all the other ladies' channels and their videos as well. All will be linked in the description box below. And if you would like to join in with our Flower Craft Festival, all you have to do is share your gorgeous makes on social media and do not forget to use the hashtag you can see on my screen now. It is hashtag Flower Craft Fest. We would love to see what you're making. We are working off a different prompt each day, so let's jump into today's tutorial. Today we are going to make a spinner card, which I can't recall ever making before. It's the first one for me. And to make my card today, I'm going to use Monika Crafting with Quilling Lady's brand new digital collection, which is the Flower Festival. You can see the cover page of it on my screen right now. This is jam-packed with so many lovely papers and flowers. Make sure you check out the link in the description box below where you can get the full collection or parts of it. So to make my card, I was inspired by one of the cards that I just made for the 12 Days of Christmas in July series, and it was this lovely hexagonal fun fold. And these are just a very few of the gorgeous colorful papers from Monika's new collection, which I will be working with today. And also I have some flowers cut out. There are so many gorgeous ones. It was very hard to decide. So I've cut out more than what I will need today. But no problem, because I'm sure I will come back to use these very soon again. So I'm going to use this hot pink cardstock. And I've cut out, using my hexagonal die set, with the largest die, I took 2 out of the set. So 4 largest one of the pink card, and then the smaller one, 3 of the pattern papers, and then 1 white. And I layered them up together. So now I'm taking out 3 of the smaller ones. I'm picking out which size would be good to cut a window into each of my panels. I'm taking out 3 of sizes next to each other. With the middle one, I'm planning to cut a window. I'm saying I'm planning because I will mess this up. I will mess this up so badly. You'll see at the end. But, so I'm just looking which orientation I want to go with this. And with the middle one and the largest one, I've cut out 4 frames to go around the window that I will be cutting out. And I use the same hot pink cardstock that I used for my card base. So I have 4 of those frames already cut out. And now I have to score down my panel in half, because it is so hard to find the exact halfway, and I really need to have it exactly halfway for this fold. What I like to do is the trick, cut out the same shape, same size from copy paper, which is very easily folded exactly in half, and use that folded edge as a guide to find where I should be putting my score line. So when I line it up nicely in my hexagon, all I have to do is find a groove just where that half folded white paper ends, and just score down in the middle and make sure that everything is nicely lined up in there. Now, all I have to do is fold and burnish, and just like that I have folded it in half. So taking what I'm thinking is the middle die and I'm going to cut a window into this panel. And it's very easy lined up because the 2 corners were lining up with that score line that I made earlier on. Now off camera I will have to score and cut all of the other panels, but make sure that it's lined up nicely. I am drawing a pencil line in that aperture of the first panel, and it's very easy to line up then with my die. And off camera, I've die cut all of these. They're almost identically lined up, so I'm kind of happy with that. This elastic thread is a bracelet making thread that my kids use in the craft room. They come in all different width sizes, and this is a 1mm one, so it's quite thick. I wanted to make sure that it's nice and strong that I'm using, but you can use fishing line. I've seen people using twine for this as well. In here you can see me covering the back of the, which will be my front panel, in double-sided tape. I very quickly realized that this will not hold my thread in place, so I will come in with my hot glue gun. Now you will see me touch the hot glue in here, which I do often. I'm quite used to it, plus my hot glue gun does not go overly hot, so this is not one of those that would have left blisters in the palm of my hands before. This really is not that hot. This is the Sizzix one that I'm using, and I feel comfortable touching it, but I do not recommend that you do it, so it didn't come from me. I am folding them in half, and I will have to glue them together, so I'm only adding glue to the one half and then glue the other panel, which will be the side of my card. And I'm sorry I keep going off camera here. I do not know why. I can't even remember doing this, but I just kept going off camera. So now this is the other side of the front panel I added my glue to, and I'm going to add the other side onto that again, just gluing the folded half. Now this is where I will be gluing my back. Now what I didn't mention, that for the front panel I used one pattern paper, and for the two sides I used the different pattern paper, but those are the same for the sides. I hope that makes sense. And in here I was just playing about with it for a little while, just to make sure that it's all nicely stuck. And here comes the realization. My frame is too big for the window. I used the smallest die instead of the middle one to cut out those windows, and at this point it was way too late to go back and cut them again. So after a long deliberation what to do, I almost chucked it in the bin, honestly. I decided to cut smaller frames, and I said I'll deal with the rest later, because with the smallest one I was going to cut out a little hexagon, which would be the spinning element in there, but obviously I couldn't do that now. So what I done, I went ahead and cut out 4 of the smaller frames using the smallest and the middle of the 3 dies that I picked out. And in here you can just see using my quick grab glue to add the frame around that window. Now you can see a little bit of a pink showing in there because the windows weren't cut exactly identically. There was a little millimeter here, a millimeter there, and that shows. But once I add my frame onto that, that kind of blends in, so you cannot see that anymore. So I was quite happy with that. But if it bothers you, you can just cut it off with a craft knife perhaps. Once I added the pink frame, because it's exactly the same color, it's not noticeable, not to me anyway. So I was happy enough with that. And in here I just kept going, doing it on all 4 sides. And if you're going to make your own spinner card and you're going to share it on social media, make sure you use the hashtag you can see on my screen now, FlowerCraftFest. We would love to see what you're making. I'd love to see your take on a spinner card. So this is the 2 which I die cut with the smallest die. Obviously it would be too big in there, it wouldn't have enough room to spin, so I had to come up with a different idea. The next size die down was just too small. I didn't like that, so I decided that I will be just using a flower. Instead of gluing the flower onto the hexagon, I will just have like a floating flower in there. Now to do that, I needed to cut out 2 which are exactly the mirror image to each other. And because I could not decide which gorgeous flower I wanted to use, I've cut out again quite a few. And in here I will be just trying to see which one fits best. They are all beautiful. I love that with sunflower, but the leaves of it would be catching, would need to be a bit smaller. You will see me here going back and forth, and eventually I will settle for that gorgeous pink rose, and that's what I'm going to be going with. So what I mean mirror image, when you put them back to each other, they no space or no white from the back of the other one shows. So I'm going to use some double-sided tape here down the middle of the rose, which will stick it to that elastic string in there. And then I'm going to add some more of the double-sided tape. I do want to make sure that this sticks properly and it will not come undone. And I can tell you, my kids, my daughter especially, has been playing with this back and forth, and she loved it. And it's still holding up nicely. And this is days later that I'm doing the voiceover, so I think it will be okay. I reinforced it with some liquid glue and added the other rose onto the back of it. Now just give it a good time to make sure it dries properly, which I waited off camera again. Joys of video editing, you can really cut out some parts that viewers don't need to see. And when I wind it up like that, I've slowed it down here for this next step so you can see it unwinding a bit. It's so cool. When someone will take it out of the box, it will just unwind. For my sentiment, I took this is Just Like a Flower, You're Blooming with Age from Justin Hovey's collection. Is just paper. I stamped it with picked raspberry distress oxide in and cut it to size just using my trimmer. In here you can see me just adding glitter to my rose. Of course I add a little glitter. And it is the crystalline one that I'm using, and it was very easy to follow the lines on that design. Just add a little bit of something. Once that glue dries, it will dry clear, so it will be just glittery. I'll show you at the end of this video how stunning it is. And I went round the hexagon on the front there as well. So to attach my sentiment, I'm going to create a pop-up element, and I'm going to cut a strip of card. I just eyeballed this. This is thinner than my sentiment, and the strip of card came to just under 6 inches, and the sentiment itself is 3 inches long. So this is really just eyeballed. I didn't measure anything in here. I'm lining this up so equal sides are overhanging, folding it in. Then I will fold it out and back in again. So I'm left with that M shape or W shape at each end. And this will create a little pop-up mechanism for my sentiment to go on the card. So I'm just covering that last bit that I folded in glue, and I am centering it on my card. And that's my lovely sentiment, pop-up sentiment ready. I think it adds a little bit of an element, and because of the way I'll be decorating it, I had no game plan in here. I was just really winging it, which is not my specialty, but I really am happy. Despite all the frustration and everything that went wrong with this card earlier on, I love how it comes together at the end. So in here I'm just playing about with some flowers, and although they are beautiful, I thought it was just too busy for me to put them onto the paper. Perhaps if I had left a wider border around them, so they would set out more from that cardstock in the background. But it just didn't work for me. What I've decided to do, however, to glue some onto the sentiment. You'll see me in a moment, just like that. So they won't be sitting on that cardstock, but rather they will be sitting away from the card front and just glued onto that sentiment strip or behind the sentiment strip. And in here it's again so hard to pick which flowers I wanted to use. This took me honestly forever to pick 3. But I used that from some flower which I wanted to use on the aperture, but it would have been just too wide for there to spin. And I picked these 3 in here, and this looks so lovely. And the 2 other ones that I couldn't fit, I decided to use on the back of my card, just to bring everything together nicely. And there's still a lot of room for me to write my message on, so I was happy enough with that. And all of these flowers and papers that are left over, you can come back to my channel because I will be using them up very, very soon. They are just absolutely stunning. Honestly, check out Monika's link in the description box below. It's a beautiful, beautiful floral collection. So this is what it looks like. It folds flat into a box or a bouncy envelope, but once the recipient takes it out of the box, it will really nicely pop up. And if you have winded up your rose, it will just really nicely, it just gives that extra bit of a surprise element, I think, to the recipient. So I absolutely adore how this came together in the end. So it just goes to show you, years ago I would have chucked this in the bin long time ago, but just sticking with it sometimes can save it, because it really turned out so pretty, and I was so happy that I persevered. So there you can see a little bit of a glitter in here. I'm showing you a little close up. It's really subtle, but it is there and it's pretty. So winding the rose up in here, you'll see it unfold just in a little second, just same way as it would if you had taken it out of the envelope. And I really think these are quite unique cards. I haven't seen many of these I have never received one of these, so I would love to get this card. How pretty is this? So this is the same paper as on the other side, and it is very, very heavyweight. So make sure that you don't use a very heavyweight card because there's so many layers glued together. You don't want this to be too bulky. So this is the card ready. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please do not forget to subscribe. Check out the playlist that I will be adding my videos every Monday and Friday to. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.